It all started with a whisper. A rumor spreading through fan forums, then jumping like wildfire onto Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. There's a recording, and it's about Yaman. At first, many dismissed it as yet another piece of fabricated gossip, the kind of digital noise that surrounds every international star. But this time, the whispers grew louder. Screenshots began circulating, cryptic captions accompanied by shocked emojis. And then, almost out of nowhere, the first short clip surfaced, a few seconds of muffled audio, instantly recognizable to fans. The voice was unmistakable. It was Yaman. The internet froze. The man who had built his career on charisma, discipline, and carefully controlled public image was suddenly at the center of a storm he couldn't contain. The headline spread faster than anyone could have imagined: the secret recording Yaman tried to erase. Finally exposed. In the leaked snippet, the details weren't entirely clear, but the tone was. His voice cracked with emotion. There was frustration, almost desperation, as if he was confronting someone he had once trusted. Fans replayed those few seconds endlessly, analyzing every pause, every sigh. "Is he talking about Demet?" one fan wrote under a repost that had already reached 500,000 views in less than 24 hours. Another commented, "He sounds broken, like something he wanted hidden forever." Mainstream media caught on within hours. Italian magazines, Turkish tabloids, even international entertainment blogs began speculating about the full content of the recording. Some insisted it was connected to his past with Demet Özdemir, while others suggested it might involve a heated argument with people in his inner circle. The mystery only fueled the frenzy. The less people knew, the more they wanted answers. And behind the scenes, sources whispered that Yaman himself was furious. Reports claimed his team had worked tirelessly to bury this file, to ensure it would never see the light of day. But the internet is merciless. Once something leaks, it can never truly be erased. Fans described it like a ghost he tried to bury but came back to haunt him. In the hours following the leak, hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag Yaman exposed, hashtag leaked recording, and even hashtag Demet connection filled Twitter's trending topics. TikTok creators rushed to upload reaction videos. Some cried, visibly shaken by the emotional tone of the voice they adored. Others speculated wildly, their theories ranging from secret confessions of love to explosive personal disputes. For many fans, the most chilling part wasn't what he said, it was what he didn't say. The silence between his words, the sound of him drawing a heavy breath, the weight of unspoken pain, that was enough to shake an entire fanbase to its core. Within a day, the leaked audio became one of the most discussed celebrity scandals of the year. And yet, everyone knew, this was only the beginning. Because if a few seconds could cause this much chaos, what would happen when the entire recording surfaced? The question everyone kept asking was simple: why would Yaman try so hard to erase this recording? For a man who has lived so much of his life under the microscope, it must have carried something more than just a heated argument. Something personal. Something dangerous. Something that didn't fit the carefully polished image he has projected for years. Yaman is no stranger to controversy. From paparazzi fights in Istanbul to endless rumors about his love life in Italy, he has seen his name dragged through countless headlines. But this was different. Because this wasn't speculation or gossip. This was his own voice, raw and unfiltered, leaking into the world without his consent. And that terrified him. Insiders close to the actor claimed that the recording was made years ago, during one of the most turbulent periods of his personal and professional life. Some suggested it was linked to the time right after Erkenci Kuss, when his relationship with Demet Özdemir was the hottest topic in both Turkey and abroad. Back then, fans saw them as the perfect couple, on-screen soulmates who blurred the line between fiction and reality. But behind the cameras, things were far more complicated. Could this recording have captured a moment when his emotions slipped through, when he confessed something he never wanted the public to know? Theories exploded online. Some believed it was a late-night phone call with Demet, where unresolved feelings poured out. Others argued it might have been a private conversation with a friend or even a producer, where Can revealed the pressure he was under. And then there was the most scandalous theory of all, that the recording contained his regrets. Regrets about choices he made, about people he hurt, about love he lost. If that's true, one fan wrote on Instagram, then no wonder he wanted it gone. Because regrets make him human. And Can never wanted us to see him broken. Italian media, always quick to magnify any story involving their adopted superstar, pushed the idea that this leak could damage his career in Rome. Yaman has carefully crafted his brand here, wrote one outlet. He is the disciplined, charming leading man, the fantasy every Italian viewer adores. A recording filled with pain, anger, or desperation could shatter that image. But Turkish outlets had another take. They speculated that the secrecy around the recording only confirmed its connection to Demet. Why else, one columnist asked, would a man fight so hard to bury something, unless it revealed truths about the greatest love story his fans still dream about? As the debate raged on, one detail became clearer. The more he resisted, the bigger the storm grew. By trying to erase the recording, Can had unintentionally transformed it into forbidden fruit. Something fans were desperate to hear in full. For Can himself, the situation was a nightmare. Those who know him say he values loyalty above all else. If this recording was indeed tied to a betrayal, a moment where someone close to him hit record without his consent, then it wasn't just an invasion of privacy, it was a wound. And that wound was now being torn open in front of millions. In leaked messages from fan groups, people began planning listening parties for when the full audio dropped. Reaction YouTubers prepared scripts. Gossip magazines teased special covers. Everyone sensed that the story was only growing bigger. And all the while, Yaman remained silent. That silence spoke louder than words. Because if the recording meant nothing, he could have laughed it off, dismissed it as fake, denied it outright. But the absence of denial gave the whispers credibility. And slowly, the world began to believe that the secret recording wasn't just real, it was explosive. If there was one name that kept echoing through every discussion about the leaked recording, it was Demet Özdemir. The two had built not only a legendary on-screen chemistry but also an off-screen bond that millions still refuse to believe has truly ended. So when fans listened to those leaked seconds of Can's trembling voice, many immediately connected the dots. This has to be about Demet. In countless comment sections, her name appeared over and over. He still loves her, one fan wrote with certainty. Another added, that pain in his voice? That's Demet. No one else could make him sound like that. Theories began multiplying, each one more detailed than the last. Some claimed the recording was from a late-night call, when Can, exhausted and vulnerable, poured his feelings out to Demet after a fight. Others argued it was a private confession to a friend, where he admitted he couldn't move on. The most viral theory came from a Turkish gossip blog that claimed the full audio contained a line where Can said, "I thought I erased her from my life, but she's still everywhere." If true, that single sentence would reignite the most passionate ship in modern Turkish television history. And it would explain why Can allegedly wanted the recording destroyed. Because admitting that Demet still haunted his thoughts would be like opening a door he had worked for years to lock. Italian fans, who have fully embraced Can as their own, reacted with a mix of curiosity and protectiveness. Many adored the idea of a secret love confession, while others worried it would drag him back into a past he has tried to leave behind. "He's ours now," one Italian fan tweeted, but his heart might still belong to her. That single tweet gained thousands of likes and reignited the never-ending debate between his Turkish and Italian fan bases. Meanwhile, Demet herself remained silent. She didn't post cryptic stories on Instagram. She didn't deny, nor did she confirm. But her silence only added fuel to the fire. She knows, fans insisted. She must have heard it too. Paparazzi tried to catch her reaction, photographing her in airports, cafes, and sets, but she offered no clues. And that silence, much like Can's, screamed louder than any public statement could. Gossip magazines, smelling the story of the year, began running headlines like, is the recording about Demet? The love story that refuses to die. Talk shows replayed the leaked snippet, slowing it down, isolating his sighs, trying to decode meaning from the smallest sound. One panelist even suggested that the background noise in the recording resembled a hotel room, perhaps one the two had shared during filming. For loyal Daydreamer fans, the recording was nothing short of a revelation. They flooded Twitter with old clips of Can and Demet together, editing them alongside the leaked audio, creating montages that went viral within hours. "Look at the way he looked at her," captions read. "Now listen to his voice. It's the same love, years later." But for Can, if the theories were true, this was a nightmare. Because the recording didn't just expose a secret, it exposed his heart. And that was the one thing he had tried hardest to protect. He built walls around it with discipline, work, and distance. He moved countries, changed routines, reinvented himself. Yet here he was, undone by a voice note he thought would never see daylight. As the speculation reached fever pitch, one question dominated every headline: if the recording is about Demet, what does it mean for both of them now? Italy has always been more than just a workplace for Yaman. It became his second home, the place where his career transformed from Turkish superstar to international icon. His Italian fanbase treats him like family, following his every move, celebrating his successes, and defending him fiercely whenever controversy arises. But the leaked recording shook even them to the core. Within hours of the audio surfacing, Italian entertainment shows like Verissimo and Pomeriggio Sync devoted entire segments to the scandal. Presenters played the snippet on air, then invited panels of experts, journalists, and even vocal coaches to analyze every syllable. One expert leaned forward and declared, "That is not the voice of an actor performing. That is the voice of a man in pain." The audience gasped, and social media exploded with clips from the broadcast. Magazines printed special editions almost overnight. Covers screamed headlines in bold red letters. Can Yaman's secret tears, the recording he tried to erase, and of course, the question everyone wanted answered: is it about Demet? Kiosks sold out as fans rushed to buy copies, eager to consume every theory and rumor. But the reactions weren't just curiosity. Many Italian fans felt betrayed. "Why hide something so important?" one fan asked during a live Instagram discussion. "We love him no matter what. He didn't need to erase the truth." Others, however, defended his right to privacy. "He is an actor, not a product for us to consume," another fan argued. "If he wanted this gone, then it should have stayed gone." This clash of emotions created a storm unlike anything Can had faced before. On one side, die-hard supporters turned detectives, determined to uncover the full recording and decode its secrets. On the other, loyal defenders begged the public to let him heal, insisting the past was the past. And caught in the middle was Can himself, watching the walls of his carefully curated life crumble. Italian gossip television went even further, speculating on what the leak could mean for his professional projects. Would producers hesitate to hire him for major roles if his private life overshadowed his career? Would brands he represented reconsider their contracts? For a man who had built a pristine reputation as disciplined, reliable, and untouchable, the idea of being associated with scandal was dangerous. Yet ironically, the scandal only seemed to increase his popularity. His name dominated Google searches in Italy for days. Clips of him on old talk shows, interviews where he smiled shyly when Demet's name came up, all resurfaced and went viral again. Fans who had never even watched his Turkish dramas suddenly became curious, diving into hours of Daydreamer just to understand the love story that might lie behind the recording. Outside of Italy, the frenzy was no less intense. Turkish outlets, always ready to reclaim him as their own, declared, "Italy cannot understand this love. Only Turkey knows the truth of Can and Demet." International gossip blogs translated every Italian headline into English, Spanish, and German, ensuring the scandal crossed every border within hours. And through it all, Can stayed silent. No Instagram posts. No cryptic stories. No statements from his management. That silence felt deliberate, almost strategic, but also heartbreaking. Because fans could sense that behind the silence was a man wrestling with a storm inside. By the end of the week, one thing was clear: the leaked recording wasn't just an accident. It was a cultural earthquake. It blurred the line between private pain and public spectacle. It reignited old loves, old wounds, and old questions. And it made millions wonder, if this is what just a few seconds can do, what chaos will erupt when the full recording is finally released? The world now waits in silence, holding its breath for the moment the entire recording surfaces. Because if a few seconds could trigger a storm of headlines, hashtags, and endless speculation, then what impact would the full audio have? Could it answer the questions that fans have carried for years, or would it only raise even more painful ones? For many, the recording has already become a symbol. It represents the love story between Yaman and Demet that never truly ended in the eyes of their fans. It represents regret, vulnerability, and the reality that even the strongest stars are still human. Every sigh, every pause, every crack in his voice reminded the world that behind the fame, fortune, and glamorous life, there is a man who feels deeply and who, perhaps, still carries wounds that never healed. But there's another side to this story: the danger. In an age where privacy can vanish with one click, Yaman has become the latest reminder of how fragile control truly is. For years, he fought to shape his narrative, to decide what parts of himself the public could see. Yet in a single leak, that control slipped through his fingers. And now the narrative is no longer his, it belongs to millions of strangers dissecting his pain. The unanswered question is, what happens next? If the full recording confirms that he still has feelings for Demet, then the media frenzy will explode beyond anything seen before. Headlines will scream of rekindled romance, fans will demand answers, and Demet herself will be dragged into a spotlight she may not want. If, instead, the recording reveals something darker, anger, betrayal, or confessions of mistakes, then can risk showing a side of himself he fought hard to keep hidden. Either way, one thing is certain: nothing will be the same after this. His Italian career, his Turkish legacy, his relationship with his fans, all of it hangs in the balance of a recording he once tried desperately to erase. And yet, maybe that's what makes this story so powerful. Because in the end, the recording is not just about scandal. It's about truth. The kind of truth that cannot be staged or scripted, the kind of truth that forces a man to confront who he really is. For years, Yaman has played roles, built characters, and crafted images. But now, for the first time, the world may be hearing his unguarded heart. As fans wait, one phrase echoes louder than any headline: finally exposed. Those words, attached to every repost, every article, every video reaction, carry both fear and fascination. Fear, because they signal the collapse of privacy. Fascination, because they promise the unveiling of something real. And so, the world is left asking, when the full recording emerges, will it destroy him, or will it set him free? Because sometimes, the secrets we try hardest to erase are the very ones that reveal who we truly are.